Well, it's 21 years since the release of Metroid Prime on the GameCube back in 2002. So prior to that release, Metroid had only existed in 2D. It was side-scrolling in that classic Metroidvania style. And Retro Studios successfully reimagined Metroid as a 3D shooter with a healthy dose of puzzling, successfully converting the series from one genre to another, while still maintaining the feel of the classic Metroid titles. Well, looking back on the top games from the GameCube, it's still one of the best games on the platform. Well, Retro Studios have a great reputation in the industry, and while Metroid Prime 4 has been rebooted and development has started again, Metroid Prime Remaster is an example that everyone can point to and say, well, this is how a remaster should be done. Now, whether you've played it before or you're new to Metroid, this one is definitely one to have in your Nintendo Switch collection. Well, first impressions go a really long way, and Metroid Prime Remastered makes a great first impression. So Samus docks onto a space pirate ship. You're immediately struck by the visuals of the game. So many have complained Nintendo Switch can't handle great graphics and performance, but Metroid Prime is one of the best examples of debunking that myth. From top to bottom, Metroid Prime Remastered has been given an upgrade, to the environments, Samus and all the enemies that you encounter. So if you're coming to this remaster from the original, then you definitely feel right at home, but if you're new to the series, then you'd be forgiven for mistaking this as a 2023 release. Well, the overall package looks really good, but it's all down to the finer details, including the raindrops on Samus's suit, the condensation in the visor, and the metallic nature of Samus's arm cannon. Now, it's not all rosy though, as one of the original developers has complained about the door animations. This may seem like a minor issue, but for the developers who poured themselves into the game, this one stings just a little bit. Well, regarding the gameplay, the immediate impact of this upgrade is the twin-stick controls, bringing it in line with modern shooters. So the original Metroid Prime came out before console games had figured out how to control first-person shooters, even though the PC shooters figured this out a long time before. But it did take some time for console developers to come to an agreement on how controlling first-person characters should work in a 3D space. Well, Nintendo have given us the choice between twin-stick controls and classic controls, but to be honest, I don't see any reason to go back to classic controls unless you really want that authentic feel. The game also supports motion controls, but unfortunately, they don't really translate as well as they did on the Nintendo Wii. Personally, I would stick to the twin-stick controls, but it's definitely good to have options. Outside of the controls, the exploration and shooting is the main attraction of Metroid Prime. Retro did a really wonderful job with the original, keeping the essence of 2D Metroid titles and translating them to the 3D space. This isn't your straightforward first-person shooter. There's plenty of exploration, puzzles, and environmental narrative. So Samus loses her abilities at the start of the game, much like many other Metroid titles, and you have to progress through the game to regain your abilities, and this allows you to get to new areas of the map. One of the innovations of the original is here and intact, and that is the lock-on aiming ability. So this was very different to other first-person shooters of the day, like Halo Combat Evolved, for example. This allows you to focus on a single enemy, and allows you to sidestep enemies and easily dance around them, similar to gameplay in Ocarina of Time with Link. There's also plenty of parallels to draw between early 3D Zelda games, combat being the prime example. Well, scanning is also a huge feature of Metroid Prime, and it is a polarizing feature to say the least. Now, Samus can scan the environment to pick up valuable information about the environment, and much of the storytelling is done through the scannables. Personally, I really like it. It's unique when looked through the lens of 2002, and also provides Nintendo the ability to tell a richer story without having to pay for expensive voiceover and animation. Now, it's not for everyone, and you can work your way through the whole game without interacting with this feature if it's not your cup of tea. I would recommend it though, because there's some great narrative contained within these scannables. The base game is great and pretty much an essential Nintendo Switch title. Nintendo have added in some valuable extras into the game as well, including concept art from the original game development process. There's also an audio gallery as well as a 3D model viewer. As you discover more enemies in the game, you can jump back into the 3D model viewer and check them out. The concept art is really rich too, with concept art from the original 2002 GameCube title, as well as the remaster in their own galleries, so Metroid fans have plenty to enjoy, and it is also neatly organised. Overall, Metroid Prime Remaster is an absolute triumph. Now, it was good back in its day, but Nintendo and Retro Studios have managed to make it even better, bringing it up to the standard of 2023 games, while improving on the original in almost every way. This is hopefully good news concerning Metroid Prime 4, with the Retro team getting back into the groove with this remaster, and apparently Nintendo had this title sitting on the shelf since 2021, so Retro may be further along with Metroid Prime 4 than we think, but that is the future, and this is now, and Metroid Prime Remaster is a fantastic game, and definitely one you should be checking out. Well, the game was developed by Retro Studios, it was published by Nintendo, it's available for Nintendo Switch, and it was originally released on the 8th of February, 2023. Well, as I said in the review there, Metroid Prime Remaster is a fantastic version of a remaster and a really, really good example for everyone. We've had a lot of really good remasters this year with Dead Space. That one came out earlier in the year. We've just had Resident Evil 4. That one has come out as well, so loads of good remakes coming out. But Metroid Prime Remastered, well, I think that is a really, really good example of bringing something back up to modern standards. As always, thank you so much for watching or listening. Well, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you real soon.